Okay, now we're recording, and hopefully the fire. Here we go. All right. Welcome everyone to episode 17 of Business Not as Usual, the podcast and the video. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm Vince, and with me is Mike. Mikey, what's going on?
Hey, Vincent, how are you today?
As we have, we hit play sort of quickly, or we hit broadcast quickly, because I don't know, I got some fire.
Let's go. If you got fire, let's go. What do you got fire about, Vince?
See, there's so much fire. My microphone went out.
You went zero dark 30 there for a bit.
Like unacceptable microphone.
Folks, he's clicking buttons. He doesn't know what button he's clicking.
I just lots of fire.
So
yeah,
including myself, we missed what you just talked about. So you're gonna have to redo it because I have no idea what you were saying.
All right. So we're gonna start again because this is good for the video and not so good for the audio, but that's fine. Okay. Welcome to the episode 17 of the Business Not as Usual podcast. I am Vince, and with me is Mike. Mikey,
how are you doing?
I'm good. Still.
How are you doing, Vincent?
I'm great.
You seem to be on fire today, I don't want to lose this lightning in a bottle right now. You're all fired up.
And that's why we hit broadcast quick. And this is for those that are watching the video. You're seeing it again. I am pissed off today, and like I think this is going to be either a disaster or one of the best episodes
it could go either way.
So
what's got you all why do you have a bee in your bonnet, Vince?
You know, Mike, I think in the type of work that we do, it's really easy to be overlooked, to have your impact minimized. And to me, that's just one of the ways that that business and transformational programs and projects can fail, is by overlooking sort of key contributors. That's one, and maybe, just maybe, that should be the topic of today's episode. What do you think?
Just maybe we should just run with that, because I don't want to change direction and then lose that fire. Yeah. So let's talk about what are things that contribute to the failure of transformations.
Yeah. So maybe we could. Yeah. Let's talk about some of the causes.
Okay.
And then I think naturally we're gonna have to get into some of the effects, right? For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction.
Correct.
So something happens, and then some of the things that can result. So why don't we just stick with this one, because maybe I can burn off some of this energy. Not recognizing and leveraging key contributors that have a voice and something to say and can bring positive change to the work that you're doing. So that's one, and I would say that's a big one.
And why do you think that would happen in a seemingly you would want the transformation to succeed?
Mm-hmm.
And so what would be, is it political? Is it people don't really want to change as much as, so we did talk about 2 episodes ago, the roles that you need on a team.
Mm-hmm.
One of them being the rebel.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put you in kind of that category.
I'd agree.
Do people, as much as they say they want a rebel, don't really want that, which means the change that everyone's looking for isn't really going to happen?
Well, and if you remember when we talked about the rebel is that person or that team that challenges the existing worldview. And so, they can be a difficult personality to handle, especially when what they're saying contradicts your preconceived idea or your plan or something that is near and dear to your heart. So the rebel then becomes they aren't labeled a rebel. They become a dissenter or a negative contributor.
The challenger. And nobody wants the challenger.
No, well, I mean, everybody likes the idea of the challenger. Nobody wants to be challenged.
Right.
And so in that effect, because I'd rather not hear a challenge to something that, my own confirmation bias. I may either sort of marginalize the rebel. I may exclude the rebel. I may sort of temper them with sort of make work type activities and projects, and so you actually prevent them from having the impact that they can, especially when we're talking about transformational stuff. Because especially if you're going through a transformation, you're trying to do something you've never done before. You can't expect that it's going to go the way that you sort of expect in aligning to how you normally do business.
Correct. Or using the people that have your traditional business.
Mm-hmm.
Those people that everybody's comfortable with aren't going to be the ones that are going to transform.
Right.
Because they're not thinking of a new way of they're comfortable with the company that you have.
They're trying to keep the lights on. And that's and again, this is why we talked about the roles, right? You need those people too. You need to keep the lights on while you're transforming. You can't shut down for 2 years and say, well, we're transforming, so everyone focus on that. You still need to keep the lights on. But their objectives are different. Right. And so, so this is one way that you can go down the path to failure, is if you start excluding or marginalizing or ignoring your rebels.
Mm-hmm. So you brought up a good point.
Oh, did I?
Yes.
Well, that makes me feel better.
A number of them. But one of the things you just said was you can't wait for 2 years or 3 years to transform.
Mm-hmm.
That is another contributor to failure. Because as we all know, in life, time kills deals. In every aspect. If you're trying to sell something, anytime something goes on too long, so it's going to fail. And it could be just from it's too long, from apathy, from things that we've seen. Something comes up in the world. You have a 3-year plan, and in 3 days that goes to hell. And so long programs, long projects, like a transformation that in 3 years we're going to transform, that is, you should not even start. You may have a vision of where you want to be, but there needs to be things that are happening almost on a monthly basis. Because if you're going to go away as a team and then come back in 3 years and go, here's the new thing, here's our new company, that's not going to work. And transformations become so big and so their own thing. They become their own machine. That's what happens, which leads to one of those. One of the 70% that we always talk about. So time. If you're going into a transformation and it's a 4-year thing, you should go the other way. Yeah. You need to have things that are happening basically daily. You need to be coming out with new changes in process and products. They have to be coming out at a high frequency.
Right. And I mean, certainly have that vision of where you want to be in 4 years or 5 years or 3 years or whatever. Have that idea of where you want to get to, but have a roadmap that is going to get you there eventually, right? Like
with things that are delivered.
With key deliverables.
With key deliverables, and they're like real deliverables, not like, oh, we're going to have, they have to be like a plan is a deliverable, yes, but they have to be tangible for the customer, and they have to be tangible for your business as usual. Your business as usual needs to see that your program is actually delivering something.
Yeah, something of value.
Yes.
And it almost, you almost need to take that agile sort of scrum approach of MVP, your minimum viable product, and scale it to the level of minimum viable program.
Correct.
Right? So that you're delivering something that adds incremental value along the way, but is not the whole shebang-a-bang. It's because
Yes. In
because
4 years, you're gonna get the whole shebang bang on one day.
right, yeah, that's not going to happen. And not only that, if you either fail at that point, or like, you got to look back and say, we just wasted 4 years.
Right. If nothing has come out in 4 years,
Yes.
and everybody talks about, is that work throwaway? If you do something and don't deliver anything, that's throwaway work. I wouldn't consider you actually doing something, putting it out there in the market, and then maybe having to kill it in a year or rehaul it. That's not throwaway work, because you actually got value out of it. Throwaway work is doing something for a long time and never giving anything to the customer, or never changing your business in any tangible way. That is throwaway work.
Right. And this is another one of those that's tough, right? Because it requires that people actually deliver something. It's a lot easier to talk and to debate and to plan. That's easy.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, yeah, yes, a plan is a deliverable, but it doesn't do the work.
You're not shipping anything. A deliverable is something that's shipped.
Right. Well, I mean, I would say a plan is a major deliverable.
It's a deliverable. Okay.
But wait, hold on.
Okay.
Let me quantify.
Okay.
The plan is a deliverable. It's a milestone. But then you gotta execute on that. Otherwise, it's just a piece of paper. Right. So it takes a lot of work to plan well. But then, if you don't, it's not like you then say, well, we have a plan. See ya.
Yeah.
Like, then you wasted your time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
you gotta take action.
Yes. So the two.
Yeah.
You have to have the right people on the program, or on your transformational program. And you actually have to let them do their thing.
Yeah.
Time kills deals. So what's the next one?
Yeah.
What also leads to the failure?
The proverbial boiling of the ocean.
Yes.
Like, let's just throw everything. Let's transform. We've never done this before. But let's transform everything all at once. What do you think? Great idea? Great idea.
It becomes it becomes the snowball that grows. Like, everything gets thrown into the program.
Yeah.
It's since you're doing that, you might as well do this. Since you're doing that, and next thing you know, it's like you need 48,000 people to do it, and there's no way.
Right.
The original intent and thought, and that seed that says what we have to do becomes swallowed by, since you're doing that, let's just add this to the project as well.
And I've seen that in leading like Six Sigma projects, where you have a very clearly defined sort of scope statement, problem statement, and then you get close to the end, and then someone's like, hey, you know what I just thought of? While you're fixing that, could you also have a look at this? And they don't like to hear, but this is the right answer. No, I will deliver this, and then that's another project.
Correct.
So I'm not saying no, but let me get this done first, and then I'll look at that. Oh, but I mean, you're already looking at things. Like, can't you just add? Like, no, because that adds to the complexity of the overall problem. It means that the work that I've done either was wrong, wasn't the most important thing to you, or we didn't define the problem well and we missed something. So it's sort of one or the other. But I'll get to it, just not right now.
It goes back to the whole iteration.
Yeah,
great. We'll do that after we launch this product or this process or this service. Like after that, then we'll come back and do this. But why don't we just do it all at once?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we just do it all at once is like a killer. We should just if you're ever in a meeting and then someone goes, we should just, you should just like, that's it. We're walking away. You just end the meeting, because that becomes the dumping ground for the transformation.
Right.
Since we're just doing that, we might as well just keep adding stuff to the program.
Right.
And then everyone's like, how did that fail? How is it so much money? Why are there so many people on it?
Right. Right. Because you keep adding and adding, and like your analogy of the snowball, it just grows to a point where it becomes unmanageable.
Yeah.
And borders on ridiculous. Like there's no possibility for success.
I think there has to be this concept. Have you heard the concept of the lighthouse project?
No, I haven't.
It's a project that you take on that becomes like just like a lighthouse, something that you go towards. And so you decide, this is what we're going to do, because we're going to learn from it. And it doesn't matter if it's not exactly the way we want it, but we've decided we're going to do this lighthouse project, because then we'll learn from it. And so if you keep that concept at front of mind, then you could, when people go, we could just add this. No. We're doing this lighthouse project to see if it was a good way to do it. If we didn't get sidetracked, what would happen? Maybe we should have got sidetracked. We're just learning. So this then becomes the model for everything else. So if it's successful, that's how we're going to do it. There's no what if we do that. And so I think the concept of the lighthouse project is important when you're embarking on a large program, because it sets the tone for everything else that comes along after that.
Right. I like that. And as you were talking about it, I was thinking of, all those Six Sigma projects that, like, you define where the lighthouse is.
Yes.
And then you go towards it. And
correct.
There's a way of doing it. So you're not even guessing at methodologies, or like the thing that you're managing is your different stakeholders, your business partners, your business areas.
Correct.
Those are the things that you have to manage. So now you can say, hey, this approach, this methodology, these type of projects don't work well in IT, because IT doesn't feel that this is the right way of solving problems. So great. So whenever I have a project in IT, I'm not going to take this approach.
Right.
Versus a very heavily process-driven area like an operational area that is all for it and can see and can feel the benefits immediately. They're like, yep, in. So great. Now we can. I like that. That's elegant.
I think it's super important to have them.
Yeah. I mean,
because it kind of sets the tone for what we've just talked about. All the reasons that the transformation could fail, you do it early. And once you set the model, everything becomes that.
Right. So if you're going to use, capital A Agile,
right?
Great. Can you even do that? Because this is the other piece of it. And let's just, now that the fire's coming back a little bit. Like, I like to describe a lot of organizations as aspirationally agile.
Correct.
They like the idea of saying that they're agile.
Yeah.
But they don't want to put in the work to actually build out an agile and infrastructure.
Right.
Right. They like fast. Because agile is just like no requirements, right? And we just no documentation.
No requirements.
I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
I just start doing something. No, that's not what agile is.
I don't know where that came from, because that's actually not even true.
I know it's not true.
People just say agile to go, oh, we're going to go faster.
Exactly.
It's not true.
No. And so this is what I'm saying. Like they aspire to be agile, capital A, but they really aren't putting in the work to make that a reality.
Right.
So we talked about marginalizing people. We talked about when things take too long, and you're trying to, get ready for the next century, and it's 2020. We talked about trying to boil the ocean. What else? Michael?
No resiliency built into the program.
What do you mean by that?
I think a perfect example is what happened over the last month. So I'm pretty sure large programs got probably decimated with the whole worldwide pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And because they had a plan, and we're going to follow this plan, and we built this plan 2 years ago, and that's the plan.
Mm-hmm.
And then the pandemic wiped out that plan. So if there's no resiliency, that program never came back. If that program had resiliency and a way to move from where they were to a brand new plan quickly, then they probably actually benefited from COVID, because they've probably continued along the way of, so no resiliency, big plan. That's the one plan. It's huge. We have everything in it. That's the way we're going. The resilient plan had a whole bunch of deliverables towards that vision.
Mm-hmm.
And if now those small deliverables need to be replaced by something else, they could quickly get rid of those. The program can continue because there's still the vision.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've just added new ones in the last month.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is a resilient program. So they're able to go with what comes at them, be it a new leader, new C-suite, worldwide pandemic. And so if you are so rigid with this plan that you built, it's the master plan of all plans, then those programs have probably died over the last month.
It's interesting, and I want to push a little bit here, because I want to make sure that I'm understanding, and then for my own sort of understanding, would you say then that programs that have one sort of monolithic deliverable would fare worse in as it relates to this resiliency, versus a program that has 100 micro projects? I don't want to call them
I know what you mean,
quick wins or whatever, because I think too many companies
are stupid.
It's not that they're stupid,
but everything's a quick win, low-hanging fruit.
And so you can't get drunk on the low-hanging fruit,
right?
Because then that becomes you're never going to transform that way.
No, because usually low-hanging fruit are just the things that are right there. It doesn't mean it's going towards the vision that you want.
Correct. So would you say then that a company that takes that micro project approach, it has a higher level of resiliency than that one monolith?
Yes. So if you have these small that's a good way of putting them, micro projects. If you have a bunch of those, and as you're seeing the data coming in, or as the world is changing, it's not like you're predicting what's going on. It's that you're able to quickly move from, that project isn't going to work anymore because this happened, so now we're going to jump to this project, as opposed to this big monolithic delivery that's going to, in 2 years, our company's going to be completely different because there's brand new things coming in. Because there's no way you would ever know. No one even knew in January where we would be right now. It hit us out of the blue. So how are you going to know 2 years ago what would have happened? If you have, I think people get drunk on the well thought out plan, the plan that every day we know what's going to happen. It's impossible, because there's no way you're going to know what's going to happen in 2023. We didn't even know what was going to happen in December of this year. We didn't know where we were going to be in March.
Yeah.
We thought we knew. I was at the car show in Toronto, February 17th, and less than a month later, we're in lockdown. I didn't know. We didn't know that. I was there with hundreds of thousands of people.
I was at the Toronto FC football match the week
March
before
9th.
March 7th or so,
7th.
yeah, whatever. So whatever.
Right? So you were there.
Yeah.
And then you didn't go back to work. Like
No,
you
I
didn't
did.
go back to the office. Well, I
did
mean,
for
like in a week.
Yeah, in a
right?
week. Yeah.
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 So if again, this big, and I think it's that somebody I know likes to say false accuracy, like the false accuracy of this great plan.
Mm-hmm.
I think is a leads to the fall of transformational programs.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was talking to some folks a couple of months back that were embarking on a similar sort of journey, and they were building out this like massive multi-year plan, and I was like, how are you getting down to the almost the activity level 3 years from now?
Right.
Like, how are you?
That's the false accuracy that I'm talking about. It's impossible.
And I'm like, you're guessing. And they're like, no, we're not guessing. We've been doing this for months. We know. I'm like, no, you're trying to predict what workshops you're going to do 3 years from now. How can you? It's a guess. And they're like, no. It's not a guess.
No.
We have all the stakeholders involved. This is not a guess. This is not a guess. Like, dude, you're guessing. You're guessing. Like, just call it what it is. Say this is our idea, and if things go wrong, we can shift down. Like, cool, but don't say this is the plan.
So obviously, we haven't had a pandemic like we had since 1918. So let's not even bring that up.
No.
But if you're going to tell me that you know now, and in 3 years you're going to do this workshop with all the things that could happen, that could go wrong, that workshops that you learn new stuff that you didn't know right now, like let's say in 3 months you learn something in a workshop, you're like, that won't, like, oh, we need to go here. That workshop you planned in 2027, again, false accuracy.
Yeah,
you might as well just put them on fire. Like, you might as well just burn those plans because they're nonsense.
Yeah, and I mean, don't get me started on. You posted something a couple of weeks ago on 5-year plans, and I
where are they now?
It threw me. Well, I mean, but it threw me into like this fit of rage. Because like the only time a 5-year plan is valuable is when it is supported by 5 1-year plans. And those are only valuable if they're supported by quarterly plan. Like that, you can predict out that far. In the next quarter, we're gonna do this. In the next 6 months, we're gonna do this. But even like a year from, like, I don't know where I'm gonna be a year from now. How can your program know where you how can your business know where you're gonna be a year from now? Right? And I agree with you. Pandemic aside, like those like, okay, whatever. Those plans could be impacted by, I don't know, a key resource leaving.
Right.
Oh, I had this digital guy, and oh crap, he left. Well, what are we going to do now? Like, digital guys don't grow on trees. You don't just go to the digital guy store.
Don't just water them.
No,
and then they grow.
You
like
don't go.
Chia pet.
You don't go to the digital guy store. Like, you don't go into Best Buy and just grab an associate and say, "You're my new digital guy." Like, you have to take time. So, like that, and there you go. Your plan's done. Because if you lose your digital guy or girl, like, I'm just using guy as a in the royal guy.
I remember when we talked about the improviser.
Yes.
Because you never know what's going to come up at a C-suite meeting. Yes. That the improviser goes, oh, that's not. Oh, we probably need to turn right now. You can't predict those moments. No. Right? You can't predict in business those moments that one of your C-suite, I don't know, they've done this before, they read about something, they got something in their head that changes what they think should happen. And you can't just go, not my plan. The plan says in 3 years we're going to do that workshop, so don't worry about it. Like, yeah.
But it also goes the other way too, right? Where it's like, Hey, my kid was telling me about TikTok.
Tic Tac.
Maybe we should have a TikTok.
Yeah.
We should have TikTok integration. Because I mean, TikTok may not exist in 3 years. Like, we don't know, right? Like, how do you? Anyways,
2 years ago, TikTok. There was no TikTok.
well, it was something else, but like whatever.
Right.
It was something else.
My kid was showing me the TikTok dance, and we should all do that at the next meeting.
Yeah. Everyone was having a good time.
Sure, Johnny.
They all laughed. All right. I got sort of one more. I got one more, and to me, this is going to tie back to our whole thesis about transformation being cultural,
right?
And it is alienating key stakeholders, key groups, and I'm going to say this is different than the first example, which was sort of marginalizing or minimizing the impact of an individual contributor, of your rebel. To me, this is in many ways worse, because you either ignore entire groups of people, you miss them, or you start to anger them because, you know, in any program, you're going to need people. So like constantly going back to that business area and saying, I need 20 of your best people for the program. And they'll hum and haw, like, okay, but they want to be on board. So they give you your 20. And then going back, hey, remember I asked you for 20? So I looked at the plan, that my massive 3-year plan, and I actually need 20 more. Okay, how long all right, fine. And then like consistently going back and just almost like using them like a colony, where you're just harvesting resources, and eventually they rebel and say, you know what? No soup for you. Like, you're out. You figure it out. You had my people for longer than you should have. You don't get them anymore.
Yeah, so there's that. I'm thinking more of the program goes away to be innovative. Doesn't check back with the business as usual team, because the business is not, they're not just sitting there. They continue to like tweak and move, and they have thoughts about where they want to be.
Right.
And then you go, here's the brand new customer journey we're going to do, which we're now going to have to build your whole new way of working to service those journeys. You're good, right? And the person goes, who from my team was there? Nobody. We're being innovative. But I don't want to take my business in that direction, or I need to better understand what that means, because you're just dropping it on me. So I thought that's where you're going with the alienating, like you pushing upon this new world without bringing your key stakeholders along and having them, because they're going to own it.
It's both, right? Like it's both, but So when you exclude them from, and this again, I'm going to keep coming back to this idea of the Six Sigma project. Like, one of your key stakeholders on your project team is the owner of that process, because if they are going to have to own that continuous improvement,
it's the same thing.
They need to have a say in what improvements get implemented. You don't just drop it on them. You have to include them, because then they own the solution.
And whatever solution that be, a process,
whatever,
a new product, a digital product, a new chat. Hey, look what we built. Here you go. What am I supposed to do with this? What do you mean?
I don't know. Figure it out. You got chat now. You can chat.
It was part of the transformation. Here you go. What am I supposed to do with it now? I'm moving on to the next thing, because it says in my spreadsheet. That says in my Microsoft project sheet that I built 4 years ago, that I was going to give you this.
And I'm a day early, so you're
so there,
like
success.
And you know what? I'm sure. So we've covered sort of 5.
Oh, there's probably like.
I'm sure there's hundreds more.
Yes.
I'm curious to those that are listening and have gotten this far, what are some of the ways? Well, not everybody has the attention span for a 35-minute podcast. Like I'm just saying, no. Hopefully
No.
our we've been edutaining enough that you're still with us.
Hopefully we've been agitated enough today for you. Like, these guys are gonna fly off the handle. I wonder at what minute that's gonna happen.
But like, what are some of the ways that
I'd like to know that.
that you have seen transformations fail? I'm curious to know. And when you want to share, and hopefully you do, you can send you can contact me at vincentmirabelli.com and Michael at michaelmartino.ca, and on the gram
at _Michael Martino.
But I'm curious. Yeah, I'm curious. So there's 5. To me, those are big 5. But I'm curious to see what other people come up with. So hit us up, let us know, and of course, as always, thank you for joining us on the Business Not As Usual podcast. See ya.
See you later.